Well, it's exactly 1 minute past 8 and you're still watching Smart Means Business. I'm Andrew Barige. I'm with Master Consumer. Definitely are going to be driving you all the way. Of course, before we proceed into any discussion, the markets on the Zabo platform anytime from now are going to be operating. Now, starting 92 hash is simply the USSD code, which will avail you with options to be in position to buy bonds and securities for a fee of just 15,000 US shillings. Now, Zabo is a platform from Altex East Africa, which is giving you this opportunity. Now, the markets will be opening at exactly 8:15 a.m., running all the way to 3:15 p.m. West African time. This is effective Monday up to Friday, apart from the weekends and the public holidays when those markets cannot be accessed. But of course, despite the fact you have the rest of the days to capitalize and make yourself quite to make profits, something which I believe is very key and very instrumental when it comes to your personal growth and development as a person and as a trader at large, and so many other aspects. And remember, on top of Start 92 hash, you have to register with your national identification number for you to proceed efficiently. Now, Zabo simply says, my money, my future, and all Texas Africa says, do something new. Remember, it is the year 2023. Well, right about now, let's get into our business tips and quotes as, of course, as a recipe for you to actually start your day inspired as a business person. Well, that is in regarding to our business tips and quotes. I know some of them you could be actually familiar with them, but I know to some people it could be the first time you actually getting to see these quotes. But like I always say, you can, everything that is said has to be weighed to see whether it really works. We don't believe something because because you read it somewhere and you think it's the ultimate truth. Of course, people will come up with quite lots of inspirations, and so many text literature to find a way of inspiring you in some sort of a way. But remember, you gotta weigh that out. Well, now that is it for our tips and quotes for this morning. But then there is something which came in yesterday where the court issued criminal summons against the Unbs boss. That is over 100 million bribe. But I have something, and I was thinking about this. See, the Unbs is responsible for the quality and standards of the products that we put out there, that we consume as Ugandans. So if the agency is corrupt in itself, if such corruption scandals are in there, I'm trying to imagine, what about the commodities that we consume? There is a chance that actually they are not of the best.
Yes, standard.
Because somebody can be bribed to accept something to go through. You see that? So it leaves quite lots of questions.
I must say, the rate at which these kombuchas and it's too much. Like you also wonder, is it like the kombuchas are very many every now and again? There is this product coming out, simanyi musawane aresevichi. So you don't know if they're authentic. Now, if you come across this, then you definitely know. something has not been right.
Actually, I remember there was a time they did an operation in Chisenyi. I think it was 2021 about these people that make posho, like grind maize to make posho. Talking about the quality, of course, they're looking at inspecting the area where they work from, the machines, and actually, the majority were closed. Okay, that inspection was quite a surprise, and some were really put on hold. I don't know how far they went with that, but you know, maybe somebody was given a penny, and you know, things operate like that. But remember, we are looking at an African standard, an East African standard. You know, we need to look into those aspects. So once we have at least, once we have the corruption at the very ground level, because after being certified from the Ugandan standard, you have to also be certified in position to be able to actually take over what to supply for the East African community. You know, that's why I think I try to link it to what happened, why our products are stopped.
Yes, I'm very sure it's because they are not of the standard.
The standard, because somebody paid money.
Because someone paid money, and of course, you know, the ignorance of it is you pay money, at the end of you're stopped.
You're stopped.
You lose
so
out.
You lose out, you know.
You lose out both of on the money you bribed and the products you're sending out.
So you can see how people are losing jobs out of corruption. When we looked at a farm that laid off workers because part of its major revenues were being obtained from exporting its commodities, milk, to Kenya.
Brookside.
It was called Brookside, right? Brookside, laying off half of the staff, almost half of the staff, 50% of the staff. So you can see how serious corruption is when it comes to the long-term effects. Of course, in the short run, it might seem good.
But then this also shows us how far people can go to maintain their positions. No wonder people are not leaving. No wonder people are not leaving.
So someone else is doing it, not only him, right?
Very many. Now, seeing this software that that will catch corrupt leaders being okayed,
I'm trying to understand how this software really is going to even work. It was in today's top page in the new vision.
Yes, so you can actually read out and get to know
how the software
is going to work.
Which page is it?
Let me
see. Page 3.
This page.
Yeah, actually, we're not doing a press review, but we are relating the issue to what is here. Yes, the software. Of course, it says a new system to combat corruption and improve public sector management has been endorsed by President Yoweri Museveni, and the decision was taken during a meeting that is with a delegation from the Republic of Abidjan, led by Alvi. Now, I can see quite lots of aspects in here. Okay. Now, ASAN is one-stop shop model where citizens are able to receive range of public services and dedicated center. It is best that is on the principles of comparativeness and transparency, according to what I'm seeing here. Now, it is used in the UK, Canada, and Georgia to make service delivery more efficient. In Abidjan, it has had a big impact on the way citizens actually access services. You know, we still say that the system is part of the large reforms in the public administration. Oh, now, there is a very important topic here. How ASAN. Now, the software is called ASAN, which is going to be arresting the public leaders. You know, as we are relating the same case to the Unbs boss and so many other scandals that are likely to come, and also the ones which have been there before. Now, how this software works, which is called ASAN. Now, Abidjan introduced the ASAN system to enhance efficiency and quality of services. That is such as issuing residence permits, driving licenses, identity cards, child adoption certifications, and customs declarations. You know, according to this. Now, the anti-corruption element was addressed by redefining that is relations between state agencies and the citizens, eradicating or minimizing direct contact between them, and as a result, now the system created an IT-enabled one-stop that is a shop for a wide range of state services. Now, the Monday, I want to see how really this. Okay, I'm not getting the actual details
of how it works,
how it really works. Maybe that's the technical aspect of it, but just I want you to know it is very, very, very perfect. Now, still experts spoke about this on the system. Professor Augustus Nwagaba, an international consultant on economic transformation, said every country has different dynamics and all this will need to be studied in greater detail before the implementation of this program. So, well, I think, it could have been designed based on the Canada system, based on the UK system, but we also need to have some sorts of adjustments within the software. Okay.
Anyway, I must say, it will work for a few, for those that are really into the system and all that. Yeah. But I must say, most of this is of the software, the cash. Cash, they hand you the cash direct. So, I mean, how are you going to get such a person?
Well,
if they hand
sometimes transactions are not done electronically.
So definitely we shall have to fight more of these things. But of course, you see how far people, because he came out and said he had to do it because he wanted to really have this position, being an ED, and of course, I think how much does it take for him to get 100 million? It takes him a few, if not a month, to collect this 100 million and give it in as a bribe to maintain his job. So definitely, it shows us the way people are going that far to make sure they maintain their job to feed their families.
Feed their families. But you see, when you're, being in such a position and you retire in peace and without causing any scandal, I mean, there is still, you're entitled to something because you've been a government person. So UNBS is a government agency. So, and the respect that you actually get. You see, and actually there are quite even lots, because you've built yourself a career, and now your focus should be way beyond just Uganda.
You could be a consultant. Consultant. Paid a lot of money.
Yeah. And with that borderless Africa, you could really, this is something would be very key.
But you see, the thing about money, you can never get enough. When you've started getting huge sums of money, you want them to come in, and once you already have that corrupt mind in you, wow, it's very hard to get it out of your head. Definitely. Anyway.
You'll have to. Anyway, now as we get into a brief report here, the Anti-Corruption Court in Kampala issued a criminal summons against the embattled National Bureau of, that is Standards Executive Director, that is Mr. David Livingstone Ibiru, over bribery allegations. Now, Mr. Ibiru was yesterday afternoon set to appear in the dock at the Kololo Best Court, that is to answer, of course, charges relating to his alleged confession that he paid 100 million Uganda shillings bribe for the National Standards Council members in order to retain his job. Now, however, this did not happen despite the fact that he was driven to the court premises by the officials, that is from the Inspectorate of Government. Now, in the courtroom, it so happens that prosecution led by Mr. Rogers Chinove sought criminal summons after court had that he could not appear, that is in the dock, simply because he's still being interrogated as a result of that. Now, as a result, the Chief Magistrate, that is Joan Akiro, issued the criminal summons against Mr. Ibiru, who's now expected to near in the dock, that is on August 8th. That is for plea taking. Now, Mr. Ibiru said to have confessed while appearing before the Parliament's Committee on Commissions, that is the COSASI, that is to answer accountability questions. Now, according to the charge sheet, Mr. Ibiru, being employed in public service as an executive director, the Uganda National Bureau of Standards between October and December 2022, corruptly offered a gratification of about 100 million Ugandan shillings to Charles Masikura as an inducement to secure this job. See that? Wow. According to Mr. Ibiru being employed in public service as an executive director, Uganda National Bureau of Standards between October and December 2022 corruptly offered gratification of 100 million shillings to Charles. Okay, I won't have big opinions about that. You see, there is what we call the other side of the story. You know, sometimes you ask yourself, why is somebody doing what they're doing? You know, things happen for a reason. You know, and nothing happens just like that. But anyway, we shall not get into those sorts of judgments and conclusions. Let us see how this really plays out. But I know, sometimes we gotta be careful. It's always important to look at matters critically you know, and have that insight, what I call a revelation. I mean, you see things for yourself, not what you're being told.
I must say, for something to really happen, it must have been happened concurrently. It's a culture.
So it's not. It's just being exposed. It's like how you see a plant grow. That means the roots were already growing in the ground. So something has been happening down in there. So yeah, that really casts a light on how the system is like.
One of the few that has brought is going to be used as an example.
Okay. All right. Bureau of Standards. Remember, it is to deal with
I'm really questioning I'm really questioning the things we have already. If you see now this is happening, what about if the ED is this? What about the very,
means you can be given money.
The very, very employees that work in customs and whatever that was responsible for going out in field
to check the quality. Wow. Okay. Well, now heading into our other discussion in here, it's in relation to opening up of the North Corridor. Oh, that is we see that more routes are needed to facilitate trading there, and Uganda still needs much more business. Well, now this discussion, we have Honorable Katumba Wamala, that is Minister of Works and Transport, of course, giving us this discussion. Let's get into this, and we shall be returning to wrap this up.
The route will not be a problem. We'll follow the protocols as required. We'll have, we call them bilateral air service agreements with the Djibouti, and since my friend is already here, I don't think that will be a problem to get the bilateral air service agreements. The challenge will be for us to do a study on the viability of when we take, what do we bring? Or how can we connect? If we go to Djibouti, can we connect to Mogadishu? Juba, Djibouti. This is what we need to study. But otherwise, in terms of routes, we need more routes. We have one advantage which we don't take, which we have not yet maximum utilized. We are in the center of East Africa.
Yes.
The center. We are like on a road, we are in the roundabout. You can't avoid us. You must pass via us, whether you want or not. Like those going to Congo, you must pass here. Sudan, you must pass here. Rwanda, you have to pass here. So we have all the potential. And that's why my ministry right now is under very big pressure to develop the infrastructure to ensure that we facilitate fast movement of goods and people. You know, infrastructure. Developing infrastructure requires good investment.
Yes.
We don't. The money we have is not yet enough to be able to enable us to do that. But we are at it. We are trying to move. We have a concept of developing what we call multimodal transport. We use the air, land, water. We have a very big asset here which we are also trying now to exploit. Lake Victoria.
Yes.
It connects all the three countries. So we want, and you know, when you trade on water, it's cheaper.
Very much.
Far cheaper than the road.
Yes.
So we are trying also to boost the trade on water with our neighbors. Our airline has just started. It's a younger airline. It's growing. It has the potential to grow. That's why we need more routes. I don't want. I was telling the CEO the other day that I don't get amused when I'm coming back or when I'm going and I see aircrafts parked at the airport. Aircrafts are not supposed to be on the ground. They're supposed to be in the air.
Yes, to make money.
To make money. So I've been tasking them to find routes. So I'm happy that the business community has nosed Djibouti will make a study and see how we can be able to facilitate that route. So long as we can make money on it. Yes.
Well, on top of the ministers' discussion in there, on the 24th, I think that was Monday, was 24th Monday. We had a report about the East African ministers approving a $4 million budget on the Northern Corridor, you know. And the Northern Corridor, the report was Northern Corridor Council members approved a $4.35 million budget for the next fiscal year, and some 1.18 million less than it did in the past fiscal year. Now, the executive committee also approved an entity that seeks to address non-fiscal barriers, that is to enable the Northern Corridor to compete with the Central Corridor. You know, so so it just calls for the different ministries and the different nations which really are benefiting from these corridors to really cooperate together. And when that is really achieved, definitely we shall see trade being boosted amongst these nations. Well, it's 22 minutes past 8. And now, of course, I would love to remind you that as I speak right now, you can kickstart your day with the Markets on the Zabo platform. They have opened officially. Now, for you to be a part of them, it's quite very simple. Star 292 hash is the USSD code, which will avail you with options where you'll be in position to actually trade government bonds and securities for a fee of just 15,000 Uganda shillings. Now, the markets opened at 8:15 and they'll be running all the way to 3:15 p.m. West Africa time. This is effective Monday up to Friday, apart from the weekends or the public holidays when these markets cannot be accessed. But of course, despite the fact you have the rest of the days to capitalize and make yourself quite some profits, something which I believe is very instrumental when it comes to your financial development as an individual. Zabo make this a reality. And remember, on top of Star 292 hash, you have to register with your national identification number for that to be possible. Now, Zabo simply says, my money, my future. And the Old East Africa tells you, do something new. Remember, it is the year 2023. Well, right about now, let's get into the break. And when we return, we shall be taking a look at what's happening onto the world of entertainment business.